All right, continuing on with Deckard. So I did all the prep work, primed it yesterday, went through today and checked out my prep work. There's like 3 little areas I had to do a little more sanding where I missed the seam line or the bubbles were kind of sticking through. So I sand those down, hit those areas again with the primer. So now I want to show you kind of what my reference is. So for this, I'm just doing the character. I'm not building the diorama because I'm not a scratch builder. But this is in the article. This is an AFM. Amazing Figure Modeler. This is issue number 63. And my general guide is this amazing paint by David Fisher. If you're a painter and you do figures, you probably know who he is. He's been around for quite a while. So he did a really nice article and gave us a lot of descriptions of some of his techniques. So as far as Deckard goes, I will be implementing some of these techniques to kind of get this look over here, minus the bloody nose and the busted up cheek. If you read this article, David specifically picks a specific scene in the movie to kind of replicate. So in that point, Deckard's beat up and bruised and stuff. We're not doing that. What I like on here is he goes through the same steps I did, prepping and priming. He does some really nice step-by-step and descriptions on his skin tones and how he did it. So I've never done it on Caucasian, but if you look here, I've done this on the Hulk. He starts off with some noodling of some different tones. So I'm going to give that a shot because it's going to give some nice variation in the skin. I've done that with the Hulks, but never done it on human skin. And here he goes, how he did add the shadows. And, you know, when you do an article like this, it's really hard to go step by step and show every single little thing. So you've got to summarize because otherwise this would be a book. But he gives some very good descriptions, some nice pictures to give ideas of how he got the look he achieved. To me, the most helpful part is actually this area when he does the clothing. So it looks like, and I'll probably do this. It looks like the clothing for the most part looks like maybe at least the stripes and everything's hand painted. You can tell the ties can be challenging. He's got this kind of checkered pattern. So that'll be challenging. That'll probably all be hand painted. He goes how he did the speckled look on the pants. Here he goes, as I was mentioning, the jacket has to go on after this part's been painted. And he describes how he kind of did a base coat on the jacket, put it all together, fixed the seams, then masked off Deckard, and continued with the jacket. And another thing I like he did is he did this kind of, again, he describes a specific scene. But over here, it looks like the jacket's wet, so I'm not sure if we're going to go for that or not. I kind of like it. It'd be kind of something new I've never done before. And here you get a real good sense of the jacket being wet. So it's kind of dark where it's wet and lighter where it's not wet. And then he goes on to build the diorama for Deckard, which is a kind of a street corner. It's a great description. He uses some scrap parts. He uses some Nerf guns. And once they're painted, they look like details of a building. He describes how he uses some lighting effects and stuff like that. And then there's the final product. So, excuse me, that's the kind of look of Deckard we're going to go for. So I'm going to start and work my way from the bottom up. And I'm going to start off with the pants. And give some really nice description on how he did that. So we're going to kind of do that. It's a lot of the same techniques I've used anyway. So let me get something to spray on top of because I don't have a little booth at my desk, so I just spray into one of my work towels so I don't get overspray on everything. So we're going to use this. And we're going to start with the pants and the feet. So here they are. Make sure I'm in frame. Again, it's hard to do this. It's hard to paint and videotape at the same time for me. I actually need to go turn my air compressor. 1 second. The on-off switch for my air compressors in my spray room. So I'm going to start off with first. I've got this, Stynylrez Res Gray. I had that on a clamp. Here it is. I'm going to put this on a clamp so I can handle it better. Just like that. And I'm going to start off with my Badger. Now these actually know what needle size I have. This is labeled fine, and the other one is very fine. So this is a very fine as 0.5 and very fine as a 0.035, I believe, maybe smaller. So I'm going to take some of Jesse's garage paints, and I'm going to start off with, because if I look at, I downloaded some reference photos, and I've also been looking at David's paint up. The paints are kind of a warm, well, it depends on what picture you look at. It's kind of a neutral gray with a speckled effect to it. So I think the best thing to do is start off with a kind of a nice neutral gray. And I've got a whole set of these gray tones. Where are they? So I'm going to start off with this. This is a GarageKits.us semi-transparent warm gray number 6. And this should give us a nice starting point for this gray. So the boots and the belt will get hand painted. So we're gonna get a base coat on, and this is a warm gray. So it should have a little brown in it, not much. Let's see, am I in? There we go. Try to make sure I'm in frame. Oh man, I cleaned all my airbrushes. I get really good cleaning. And they're spraying really nice right now. It won't be long before they're all jacked up and not spraying it all again. Get a little more paint in there. And I'm going to hit this with a hair dryer, and I'll come back when it's dry. We're pretty close to being dry. Alright, so I'm going to hit this with a hair dryer, make sure it's covered well, and we'll come back and start doing the first little bit of texturing. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I hit this with a hair dryer. I give it a light coat of that. This is the number 6 semi-transparent warm gray from GarageKits.us. It's part of their Jesse's grayscale set. He's got a cool set and a warm set, so I'm working with the warm set right now. So now what we're going to do next is I'm going to do some speckling. And the way I do it is I just use the same airbrush. I'm going to worry about cleaning it out. And I'm going to start with a lighter tone. I'm just going to go one step lighter, which is the number 5. And basically I just turn my air pressure down until it just kind of starts really kind of spattering out a little bit. So again, I'm just going to turn my air pressure down, and I'll just use my hand as a guide. Almost down to nothing. There we go. And I'm not sure if this will show up in camera. Oh yeah. See how I get that speckle effect? So I'm backed off. I'm probably, I don't know, a good foot away. I don't want to cover up the previous color. I just want to kind of get this effect. I'm going to do a little bit more. I can go back and always go back in with my base color. I'm going to lighten this up a little bit first, and we'll bring it back down. All right, so we kind of got this cool effect going on. I'm going to go up one more level to number 4. So it's like a 7-step. It's a 7-tone grayscale. He's got going on. The air pressure seems to be perfect. That's a little much there. It's okay, we'll bring it back down. I think that's showing up. My airbrush is off camera. Okay, so now I got this. I'm going to go down darker. So we start off with 6. I'm going to go to 7. This is almost black. I'm backing way off. So I backed off even further. And then I'm going to go back in with my initial color. Blend it all in. And then I'll go in with some shading to add some to the shadows. Okay. So hopefully you guys can see that. Got that nice speckle effect. And I'm going to go back to my base color to blend it all in. And I'll bring it up just a little bit. It's a little dark right now. I'm going to back quite a bit off again because I don't want to, I just want to kind of tie this all together. I want to bury all that stuff I just did. And if it's a little inconsistent, it's okay. We want it to look natural. And these all being semi-transparent, you'll be able to see all the other colors but beneath the other ones, so it gives you a nice amount of depth to the effect. I don't know where my air pressure's at. I just kind of dial it till I get the effect I want. Just hit the areas until I get the effect I want. It's looking really, really good on the thighs. Probably because I've hit those a little bit more, so it's blended in the hair more and everything else. Nice thing about this thing, you can go back and forth until you get the look I want. That's looking pretty good right there. What I don't want to see is like definite specks of paint. I want it to look like texture in the fabric, which I think I've achieved that pretty good. So let's hit this with a hairdryer real quick. I'm gonna go seal this and let it dry a little bit, and then I'll go in and add some shadows, and then we'll go from there. So let me go seal it and I'll come back. All right, I'm back. Sorry, I don't think I was recording. Anyway, I did the speckling here with a hairdryer, and I'm going to go in with some of GarageKits.us transparent oil to do some shading. I was having some problems with it getting some dry tips, so I'm going to put a little bit of retarder in with this paint. It's a transparent. I don't want to thin it down anymore, but I want it to flow a little bit easier. And what I was saying before, I realized I wasn't recording, is that this is a real nice kind of transparent color. You can see I got a little bit of a shadow going right there. I was trying it on the back side of the butt where I don't see it to make sure it's getting the effect I want. So I'm going to put some of my airbrush. I got my airbrush shirt turned down a little bit here, and we're just testing it out in an area where I don't see it. I'll just do some of this on camera because the rest I got to be like kind of in my face to see what I'm doing. So I'm just testing it out right here. And you got to be real careful with these because it's real easy to get them to pool. Like I just did right there. But yeah, that's kind of give me the effect I want. You can see that. Right there. That may be a little too much, so maybe not go quite as heavy. I'm constantly coming back to my hand and making sure I've got paint coming out. What I don't want to do is pull the trigger back too far on the piece and get up on it. That would suck. Just getting some dry tipping. It's my only thing I hate about acrylics is they dry tip. I really don't get that with the Mr. Color metal lacquers. A lot of great subtle details in these pants. Alrighty, so it took about, I don't know, 30 minutes or so, and I went in and did all that shading and stuff. I just sealed it with the Krylon matte. I'll probably go in and seal this later with a slightly flatter finish, but I think this looks pretty damn good. Brought all the details on the pants and everything. Looks a little dirty. I hit the bottom of the pants a little harder because they would be dirty. And hit the top of the pants to add a little more shadow. Added a little shading underneath the belt to add a shadow there. Hit the inside of the pockets a little harder, so we got a little darker there. But I like this. It's a nice overall gray, kind of textured fabric look with some nice shading. And the transparent oil is a great color because, especially for something like this, it adds a little bit of dirty look to it, which would be the case for poor old Deckard. He has a rough time in the movie. So I think what we're going to do now is I'm going to work on, I need to look at the reference photos, the shoes and the belt, which I think are just plain black. Yeah, the shoes are just black. I may go in, and at the end I'll probably go in and add some weathering and stuff to him, some pastel work. But for the shoes, let's go in and do I think what I'm going to do, instead of just painting them black, I'm going to do a really dark gray, and then I'll do a black wash on them. That way it brings out some of the details. So for that, I'm going to get out one of my palettes here. And I'm just going to put in some of this, where is it? I'm going to get out my acrylics. Then knock stuff over. Where is it? I may add just a hair. I may add just a little bit, just a tiny bit of brown to it, just so it's not black. So I'm going to add a little bit. I'm going to do a little burnt umber, like that. Sorry about the noise in the background. One of my little dog is going. She's got the zoomies, I call them. She's going crazy. She's running back and forth on the floor like nuts. And I'm going to mix a little bit of this neutral gray. And then I'm going to do, once I get this on, I'll do I'll paint the belt the same color. Let's see, let's get a brush. I never did clean out my brushes from my previous projects I just got done. Let's mix this up. And this will give me kind of a warm black. Let me get on a, since my hands are all dirty, I just got all that paint work done. I'm gonna get on a glove here. And we'll zoom in a little bit. Hopefully I'll stay in frame. Not very good at that. And we're gonna just get this on. Yeah, just a touch of water. Just a little smoother. I'll take probably 2 coats then, but that's all right. So just as previous in my other projects, these are the golden tube acrylics. Should be using a bigger brush actually. It's a little small. The bristles are a little too bendy for me. I like to have them a little stiffer. I feel like I have, unless I'm doing lining work like around it. Like if I'm doing a water line around an eye or something, I usually don't like a liner brush. This isn't a liner brush, but Like a flat brush. Good. Smoother finish. Gotta kind of dab it to get down in the shoelaces. So again, they're not going to be brown on the back. They're not going to be brown in the end. I'm just putting this down as a base coat. So I get a little tone to them. They're just not plain old black. I never didn't show you the bottom of the feet. They have a ton of great texture in the treads. So tonight, I should be able to get the least of pants and belt pretty much done until the very end if I want to add any weathering. Let's have to ask Rob about that if he wants me to dirty him up at all. Alright, so I think you get the idea. I'm going to base coat the other shoe and the belt. And then these will take a little longer to dry because they're thicker. And then I'll seal it really well. And then we'll do a black wash on it. And we'll do that. So I'll come back when I'm ready for that. Alrighty, so we sealed that. That's dried. Now we're going with transparent black and do a wash and see how that turns out. That's how I work. I just kind of wing it all the time. So I'm going to get my palette right here. And I've got some transparent black. Transparent jet black. Just gonna put a little bit in here. Some drops. And let's see what happens. Who knows? This could work. It could be a disaster. That's how I roll. I'm just going to kind of flood this on there. Just kind of let it flow into all the details. I love it. They're talking about how we all snore. Awesome. Yeah, that's a nice effect. So I just flooded the whole shoe in this transparent black. I got in all the nooks and crannies. May do a second layer. Let's do the bottom too. Let's not forget the treads. Hey, I'm trying to do a video, guys, so we can hear everything you're doing in the background. That's how it always is around here. All right. So I like this. I like it. Where'd it go? Put my paint away. So as this dries, I should get a nice effect. Let's do the other shoe. Just gonna let it go and let it dry, and then we'll see what it looks like. So it's not pitch black, but it's got a little warm undertone under it from that kind of dark grayish brown I put down first. Excuse me. I'm putting this on really wet. Let it just kind of flow around and do its thing. Yeah, it's gonna look nice once that's dry. Oops, I got a little bit on the top of the pants. I don't want it on the pants. Just wipe it off. Always have Q-tips by, especially these little hobby ones, the tips. Just keep layering this on, darkening it as I go. Because this is a transparent color, you'll see through it. So I probably need to let this dry. And I'll probably seal it and then do another coat. So I'm going to do the belt. So I base coated the belt too up here. Then I need a smaller brush. I need to, localize where the wash goes so I don't get it all over the pants. So here I'm going to just be real careful. I'm going to put it on wet still, but I don't want to get it on the pants. Now it's beating up a little bit, which means my sealer that I put down isn't really flat right there. So I'm getting a little surface tension because this isn't a water-based paint. It's okay if it's not perfectly even. I mean, this is supposed to be leather, so it'd be slightly different here and there. A little too much. So if I get a little too much, I wipe my brush off and then I just dab it, and capillary action will suck up the excess paint or wash, whatever it is you're doing. And I'll go back and paint the belt buckle. I'm not sure what color it's supposed to go. I have to look it up. It's a nice effect. Excuse me. What's interesting is on the sculpt, I'm not sure if that's the way in the movie, but the belt actually goes on the outside of two of the belt loops, one there and one there. So that's interesting. I wonder if he wears his pants that way in the movie. Maybe that's one way to tell if he's a replicant, that he's got his belt on messed up. Who knows? Should bring out the stitching in the belt really nicely. Excuse me, I hate doing that on camera, but clear my throat. Right here, take some of this excess off where it's pooling a little too much. Yeah, I can see all stitching now. It's coming out nicely. And this shoe is drying nicely. Got a little pooling here. I'm going to take care of that. Just kind of on top. I don't want the pool on a flat surface. I really like to pool in all the details. As this dries, I can work it a little bit. Oops. Now this paint from Jesse, as it dries, it does get sticky. So at some point you gotta stop working it because then you just start creating problems. But I kind of use this transparent color like this all the time as washes. It worked very well for that. All right, that's looking pretty good, I think. This is going to take a little while to dry, so once it dries, I will seal it again. And we're going to take a look at it. Well, from what I can tell, it gave me exactly the look I wanted. They're black with a slight dark brown undertone. And then this wash kind of got in all the nooks and crannies and stuff. Looks really good on the belt. You can really see it in the belt right now. And if you want to get a little kind of leather texture effect, you can go in there and just kind of stipple like this. Take some of it off. It'll look a little bit like weathered leather. There we go. So I'm gonna let this dry and we'll seal it and take a look at it. Okay, dokie. So I went and sealed those, and I think I'm gonna do this one more time on the shoes. Looking pretty good. Hopefully it's showing up in camera. Kind of a cool effect. And just one more time, but this time I'm actually gonna wipe some of it off. I'm gonna put a little bit of this transparent black. The belt turned out exactly the way I want. It's got nice detail on the stitching. There's some stuff in there in person. It's probably not showing up in camera, but there's like some little indiscrepancies in the surface that looks really natural that you probably can't see right now. So I'm going to take this flat brush again, and I'll just use a towel that I'm working on. So I've sealed it. I hit it with the hair dryer, and I'm going to do this again. Like this, going to kind of flood it on. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry just for a few minutes, and I'm going to wipe some of it off. And then I should get a little more definition in the details. I'm still kind of seeing that. Again, you probably won't see this in camera, and you probably won't show up my photos, but in person, you'll see the details and the slight, very slight brown undertone to the shoes. It's really hard a lot of times to show, and I say this all the time, all the subtle details and everything that's going on in a photo or in a video. I'm dealing with this right now with the company I'm doing a few license pieces for. It's a nightmare because I'm telling you what you're looking for is there. It's just not showing up. It's like, well, when you see in the photos, like, well, I guarantee if I do it to so you see it in the photos, when you get it, you're not gonna like it. So, kind of about ready to throw my arms up with those guys. So we're gonna let this dry for a few minutes, and then I'm gonna come back and we'll show you wiping this off, and hopefully what it'll do is it'll bring out some of these details a little bit more. I think it's a pretty cool effect. All right, so I'll come back in a few minutes. Alrighty, so what I did is actually hit it with a hair dryer just a little bit, and I'm just going to take this towel here, my work towel. Let's see what happens. It could completely fuck this up. We'll see. Yeah, it's not doing what I want. Yeah, that was a bad idea. It's getting lint. So think what I'll do is, instead of doing that, is I'll come back and I'll do a little bit of dry brushing on these shoes after this dries. The very slight dark gray. And then I'll bring out the details. So my initial plan wasn't jiving. But I'll come back and do that in a minute. Alright, so I'm going to finish up the shoes here and call this video done, so I don't have another 2-hour video. So I went and sealed those shoes. So what I got here, now my palette got some of that, got a little bit of that black, the neutral gray, and some of the burnt umber that I've used for the initial base coat. I'm going to mix up a really kind of dark grayish brown. About 2 values above black with a touch of brown in it. And then we'll take off the excess on a paper towel. 1 second. Sorry about clearing my throat all the time. Let me get that mostly off, like that. I'm going to come here with this flat brush. A little more gray. Again, you're probably not seeing this. But I'm just going to hit using just this flat part of the brush, bring out some of these details. And maybe just a touch of white to this color, just as one more little level of highlight, because it will dry down. I was going to remember that stuff will dry darker. Just a tiniest bit of white. Use this layout. That's what I got handy right now. Just keep bringing this gray in. Didn't knock it down. I added too much white. Okay, let's try that. Let's try that. Again, I don't want it to look gray. I want to keep this kind of dark brownish black look. There we go. I'm going to concentrate on the toes. Most of the laces. Then as my brush loses paint, I can rub on the surface a little bit harder. Now my brush basically has no paint on it. So I can kind of buff it out and I'll give it a kind of worn leather look to it. Yeah, looks good. That's the effect I was going for. I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but kind of got a nice worn leather, black leather to it. It's got a very slight dark brown undertone to it. That's pretty much it right there. Now we can see the stitches nicely. That's brought out. Then we got the belt up here, which looks good. So I'm going to seal this one more time, and until we get further in the build, if we do any weathering, I think the pants, shoes, and belt are done. Oh, I got to do the belt buckle. Let me see what color that's supposed to be. I'll look at my reference and see what color it's supposed to be. Give me 1 second. Silver. So let me get some silver out. I'll just do a Vallejo. Not silver, but like a. Sorry, I'm sorry, the camera. Let's do. What's this? That's not quite bright enough. Need this touch of chrome. So I'm going to do 1 drop of magnesium, 1 drop of the chrome. Actually, yeah, let's try that. Vallejo metal colors. There we go. Just they'll knock the chrome down a little bit. It was too bright and the magnesium was too dark. Excuse me for keep clearing my throat. All right. Hi. My daughter's in here. All right. Belt buckle. All right, looks pretty good, I think. Pretty happy with that. Oh, poop. I was happy until I got paint where it's not supposed to be. See it? Good thing it's sealed. That's why we seal things. It should come off. If not, I'll just brush touch it a little bit. Brush touch there. And that's the way it is. Alright, looking pretty good though. Happy with that. Alright, we'll seal it and do my little touch up there and send photos to Rob and see what he says. But I think it looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. So this video, I'm going to call this video done and stay tuned. I'll work on the torso in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.